They had us put the suits on and then just jump around. Like, that was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life.
Some actors faced costume struggles, while special return visitors to the Spider-Man world got some much appreciated costume upgrades. Which actor had some extra padding? Who could finally see properly on set? Here we go. Number 1. When will someone give them a flap? We've had 3 different actors playing Spider-Man over multiple years, yet somehow, every single one of them has continued to suffer when it comes to taking bathroom breaks. It got so bad for Tom that the actor actually avoided drinking too much water on set, knowing that he'd need about 45 minutes to get out of the suit before even being able to go to the bathroom. Andrew felt the Spidey struggle really brought them together though, explaining,
"There was a brotherhood that got created between Tobey, Tom, and myself. You find it hard to pee in the suit, I find it hard to pee in the suit."
Hopefully one day it'll be a bit easier for them to escape the curses of that suit. Number 2. Looks cool, doesn't feel cool.
That's why when I shoot webs in the suit, I don't do this.
The Iron Spider-Man suit was a major upgrade, kitted out with all the tools a person could need, but it wasn't the easiest to work in.
Do you know what annoys me about it? He can't do that with his wrists.
Tom sympathized for what, after a while, would be a very bruised-up Peter Parker. They may have looked slick in the end, but those gauntlets were a Spidey fail. We gotta have that web shooting move without inhibition. Number 3. The man who began it all. Tobey sported the OG Spidey suit, but it was pretty unique compared to the ones the others wore. But one thing it didn't do so well was hold up. Maguire's original was falling apart and totally unusable since the Spidey tech from the early 2000s wasn't nearly as advanced as it is now. That being said, they did build his suit from scratch, honoring the original design including his silver webs and different muscle definition details. But it came with some upgrades. It wasn't always a blast to wear, but the zippers were better placed this time around, so it was a bit easier and more comfortable to whip on and off. Number 4. Ah yes, the broody one. Andrew Garfield's dark and broody Spider-Man was a different style, since Garfield had such a different physique from the other Peter Parkers. Considering how long it's been since he wore the Spidey suit, Garfield was intimidated, knowing it would be even more difficult to work in, saying, "I'm no spring chicken anymore." The actor did work out a lot though, so he was able to strut onto set knowing he looked as good as he felt, even if he was a bit constricted in that lycra. Number 5. He didn't have real tentacles, but they were just as fierce. Alfred Molina had the rare delight of actually kind of enjoying his costume. Doc Ock was back and looking fierce as ever, only in more practical and comfortable hardware. Molina was very impressed, explaining that it was surprisingly comfortable. The nice thing about the design was that it looked good, but it felt like clothing. It didn't feel like a costume. Instead of having to be aware of actual tentacles around him, the back of Molina's coat had circles cut out and filled with blue, so CGI could work its magic after the fact to bring those arms onto the screen. His heavy-looking metal belt was brilliantly designed by Sanja Hayes, who made it extra comfortable with lightweight fabric that was painted to appear heavy-duty. This new take on the outfit allowed the team to respect the original designs while amping it all up a bit. Number 6. Time to ditch the mask. Willem Dafoe isn't the same Green Goblin he was all those years ago, and neither was the suit he wore in No Way Home. His clunky, hard-looking costume was totally upgraded and made it much easier for the actor to fight. The new suit design was courtesy of the visual development department, who actually 3D printed a version of the suit that was then filled with poured-in foam, making for a much easier to put on costume. We're talking a jumpsuit with zippers style. This was a big improvement, and the new tech allowed Dafoe to not leave the set feeling totally broken. Number 7. Bye-bye VFX body. Electro makes an impact on screen, looking totally upgraded and fresh as an actual person in a suit instead of pure blue electricity. The major difference for Jamie Foxx was that he was actually able to wear a costume and have his real face appear on screen. The costume brought worker clothing with an electrifying twist with all those reactor details incorporated. Since his body was on screen, he found himself rigged up in the air sporting his now elaborate look, but it definitely took a learning curve to get used to. Number 8. A little padding goes a long way. Was it muscle padding? Well, sort of.
And I'm not going to tell you who, but one of us has a fake ass in their suit.
And which Spidey was it?
You can figure out that for yourself.
Tom only knew because he got a bit distracted by it one day.
Wow! Oh, hang on a minute. Nah, that's not real.
We may never know who had a little extra junk in the trunk since all the Spider-Man actors have had each other's back, wary to reveal any details that would out any one of them. Number 9. Once a Spider-Man, always a Spider-Man. Peeling into the suit, there's nothing quite like it.
It was uncomfortable getting it on, and then it's a goof. It brings me back into that character.
It was still physically uncomfortable, and the actor was aware of just how much that material could show, but it was worth it eventually.
Being in Lycra or spandex, once that goes away, you're like, oh wow, this is cool. This is a responsibility, but a blessing.
Number 10. Not every suit is what it appears to be. Each Spidey, in fact, had 2 versions of all their different suits. One with a little kind of turtleneck cut for when they weren't wearing the mask, and another that was made to go with the hood, with cuts and seams that met up flawlessly. Beneath each mask, there was also a skullcap mask. It made breathing tough, but protected those pretty faces from getting scratched up by the tougher outer mask. Each Spidey face also featured frames around the eyes so they could be snapped right into place. And that's why Tom was able to sip through straws. Number 11. Is it black and gold or red and blue? Technically, this suit is kinda both, since it was made to look like the regular Spidey suit, but inside out. Included in this eye-catching costume were fine gold wire detailing that would be the hidden circuitry inside. Fortunately, the suit wasn't so uncomfortable as it would have been had it actually just been the regular suit inside out. We didn't see the same suit the team was seeing on set, though. The VFX department added their own touches to really make this suit stand out on screen. Number 12. No face or touch recognition? No access. The Lycra Spidey suit is useful for Peter Parker's high-flying adventures. His texting abilities? Not so much. When they're in the suits, all the Spider-Man actors were limited in how much they could actually use their phones, and let's be honest. With a suit that tight, it's not like there were many places they could safely tuck their phones away for filming anyhow. Number 13. It's hybrid suit time. Tom was sporting a red and black suit on set that looks very much like what we see on screen. But the reality is, what we usually see is a fully digital suit over top of the actor's body. This digital detailing includes layers on layers of digital fabric, including metallic inlays and overlays, all woven in together and mimicking the movement fabric would actually have on his body. The task of replacing the suit in all those frames was probably most tough on the editing team, who spent hours making the appropriately dubbed hybrid Spider-Man suit a reality. Number 14. The people want what they want. Was anyone really a fan of the old Green Goblin mask? Willem Dafoe had heard what was up, explaining, "I am aware that there was some criticism of the mask in the original one. We heard that. It was probably a consideration to change it up a little bit. They ditched the clunky old style in exchange for a costume that's gone above and beyond for fans, even including the classic purple hood, and for Dafoe, the whole switch was a great improvement as well. Not including the mask meant he could hear and see properly, so you can bet the actor was a fan of these changes." Number 15. No suit left behind. While the OG suits didn't all get used, each of them was on set to be used as a reference and to recognize just how much history was actually coming together in this showstopper of a film. The old Spidey suits were either covered in dirt and holes or literally disintegrating. Not so fun to look at or wear, but they still contain something very special. All that Spidey sense. Love 'em or hate 'em, these suits are totally worth wearing in the end, considering just how good they look on screen. Whose Spidey suit do you think had a little extra butt padding?